Why Mike Tyson forgave Evander Holyfield. Imagine carrying a piece of a man in your mouth, not just skin and cartilage, but his dignity, his career, his very soul. June 28, 1997, Las Vegas. The world didn't see a boxing match that night. They saw a nervous breakdown in high definition. They saw the baddest man on the planet snap like a dry twig. Most people think that story ended when the referee waved his hands and the police stormed the ring. They think it ended with a $3 million fine and a lifetime of ear jokes. But they're wrong. The real fight, the one that actually mattered, didn't happen in the ring. It happened in the 20 years that followed. It happened in the quiet rooms of rehab centers and the lonely corners of aging minds. Why did Mike Tyson, a man built on rage, finally forgive the man who broke his aura of invincibility? How do two legends go from wanting to kill each other to selling ear-shaped edibles together in 2026? This isn't a story about boxing. This is a story about the only opponent Mike Tyson couldn't knock out, himself. To understand the forgiveness, you have to understand the hate. Mike and Evander were supposed to fight in '91. Mike was the young king. Evander was the real deal. But then came the prison years. 3 years in a 6x9 cell. When Mike came out in '95, the world had changed. He was faster, sure. He was still scary. But he was hollow. Evander Holyfield. He was the man holding Mike's crown. For Mike, Evander wasn't just an opponent. He was an insult. He was a small cruiserweight who dared to stand in the way of the Mike Tyson storm. In 1996, the first fight happened. Mike hit him with everything. Bricks, hammers, everything but the kitchen sink. And Evander? He didn't blink. He just kept coming, headbutting, pushing, smothering. By the time the second fight rolled around in '97, Mike wasn't just angry. He was terrified. He realized for the first time in his life, I can't beat this man. When the human mind realizes it's trapped, it does one of two things. It quits or it goes primal. Mike went primal. He bit. Biologically, when your amygdala, the part of your brain that handles fear, takes over, the prefrontal cortex, the part that thinks about consequences, shuts down. Mike was in a high arousal state of panic. To the 50-year-old fan watching at home, it looked like a crime. To Mike's brain, it was a survival mechanism. He needed a way out. See, he needed the fight to stop. But here's the thing about survival mode. You can't stay in it forever. Eventually, the adrenaline fades, and all you're left with is the shame. For 10 years after that night, Mike hated Evander, not because of what Evander did, but because of what Evander represented. Failure. Every time Mike looked in the mirror, he saw the man who bit an ear. He saw the monster. Have you ever held a grudge? It's like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. It rots you from the inside out. For a man like Mike, who lost his mother early, lost his mentor, Cus D'Amato, and lost his fortune, that grudge was the last thing he had left to hold on to. But then, something changed. If you're over 50, you remember the Oprah interview. Mike was different. The high-pitched, screeching voice was gone. He sounded tired. He sounded human. He apologized. But it wasn't a PR move. It was a man realizing he was running out of time. Why did he forgive Evander? Because he realized Evander was a mirror. Both men were warriors. Both men were aging. Both men had lost millions. Both men were struggling to find their place in a world that didn't want them to fight anymore. When Mike looked at Evander, He didn't see an enemy anymore. He saw a fellow survivor. There's a code in the old-school gym. You leave it in the ring. In 2026, we see Mike and Evander together often. They laugh. They joke about the bite. Why? Because age is the great equalizer. When you hit your late 50s, the testosterone fades. The ego thins out. You realize that the guy who punched you in the face 30 years ago is the only person on earth who truly understands what you went through. The fans? They don't know what it's like to have 20,000 people screaming for your blood. The commentators? They don't know the pain of a broken rib or a detached retina. Only Evander knew. Forgiveness wasn't a gift Mike gave to Evander. It was a gift Mike gave to himself. He let go of the Iron Mike mask so he could finally just be Mike. The very act that defined Mike's lowest point, the bite, is now a business venture. They sell Mike Bites. They've turned the trauma into a punchline. Is it for the money? Maybe a little. These guys have bills. But it's more than that. It's a middle finger to the past. It's saying, you tried to use this to destroy us, but we own it now. That is the ultimate victory, not a knockout, not a belt, but the ability to stand next to your greatest rival and smile. So, why did Mike Tyson forgive Evander Holyfield? Because he grew up. He realized that hate is a young man's game. And at nearly 60 years old, Mike Tyson doesn't have the energy to hate anymore. He's looking for peace. He's looking for the Cus D'Amato version of himself, the teacher, the elder, the survivor. If Iron Mike can forgive a man he bit in front of the whole world, what's stopping you? Who are you holding a grudge against today? Is it an old friend, a brother, an ex-partner? Take a lesson from the baddest man on the planet. Drop the weight. It's making you slow. It's making you old. Before you go, do me a favor. If you remember watching that fight in '97, tell me in the comments. Where were you? How did you feel when you saw it? Let's talk about the old days. And if you want more stories about the legends we grew up with, told with the respect they deserve, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We don't do clickbait here. We do boxing. We do history.